Let's see if we can do this. Look at that. Oh, actually smells a bit like weed when I used to smoke weed. It reminded me, wow, it just tapped in a memory. To when I used to smoke weed. When I first got into weed, when I was like 16, 17. Wow. That was bizarre. Isn't that interesting? What a cool way to start this podcast. Set your intention well. Take me back to when I was 17, please. I want to smoke weed. I don't really. That was an interesting time. But here I am, and here we go. Hello. I started this podcast, Burning Sage, and the intention is to really get out any negative energy and just allow this moment to take place, whatever this moment is going to be presenting. But when I lit it, it smelled like I was 17 and I was smoking weed. So that was funny. It's funny how like a smell could just take you back to a moment, you know, like we have such, and it comes back to emotion as well. Like there is a time capsule in every moment. There's an energy that exists that takes place, and certain smells can trigger certain moments, certain experiences. So for me, burning sage, it smelled like weed, and I thought I was back when I was 17. Remember when you used to hide that shit? It was funny. So here we are today now, and I felt like it'd be a good idea to answer some questions and see where we go. So I started Break Free Now, and we're in week 1. And what's my experience been so far of that? What is Break Free Now? That's a program that I started, a 10-week program for you to discover your true authentic self, for you to explore the truth that you are through certain modalities, you know, certain things that have brought me peace in my life. And one thing I like to stipulate is that I'm not a guru. I'm not your teacher. I'm not going to say, do this, this, and this will give you peace. It's more about my experience in sharing my true self and sharing my human life that allows you to free yourself from the illusion or the ego, right? The illusion that you have to be a certain way, you have to show up a certain way in this life. The reality is, be you, be all of you, be your authentic self, and see what happens. And yeah, I guess one of my gifts is just sharing my story and the way that I listen. And a lot of the times I'm not saying much, but there is something happening in me being present and listening. Just a space that allows you to express whatever you're going through. And in that expression, what I find in my experience when I'm expressing, I get to release from the emotion. I get to separate myself from this illusion that I think I am, and I feel like I'm dancing right now. So I thought I'd bring that to your awareness. And yeah, it's been a beautiful beginning. It really has. It really has. It's been fucking funny, man, before we start in Catherine's questions. It's been funny because I'm breaking free. You know, the program's Break Free Now, and I'm breaking free of the illusion that there's someone else out there that has the answers that I can piggyback on and, you know, jump on their wave. I don't need to do that. And it's funny how it happens. What I'm talking about is like a week before I launched Break Free Now, I'm also in another community with the beautiful soul Cam Rosin. And he actually invited me. I had a conversation with him and he invited me to launch Break Free Now inside his community, like his private group that he has. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's do that, bro. That sounds amazing. And I started it and I created this program. I was going to create little modules and drop it in there. So everyone who signs up for Break Free Now, my program, will get straight into Cam's community, have access to Cam's calls, and his meditations and everything. And then there's also a section that says Break Free Now, which is my program where the modules are going to be. And that's like our own little private group inside another group. All right. And I started it and I feel like I just do some weird shit or I do funny shit. And I take that step and then I realize after doing that, I don't need to do that. Right. But, previously in the past, I wouldn't allow myself to actually take that step. I wouldn't put myself in those moments because I guess any sort of fear of failure, fear of it not working out, fear of judgment of what anyone else think, that would just limit me from expressing whatever I wanted to do, whoever I wanted to be in any given moment, right? So now I just do and be, as long as I'm coming back with the intention, like what is my intention with this, which is service, which is devotion of being me, right? As I smell the sage. And what happened was I did funny things. I did things like backwards, if you would, right? So I've got the group. Everyone's in this little group container in a Facebook Messenger group chat at the moment. And I invite everyone to jump on a call with Cam on a last Thursday. And this is before I actually had a call with my group. Right, so their first experience of this program is joining someone else's group and jumping on a call with someone else who, like, some of them have never actually met Cam before, which is funny. And here he is introducing himself and saying, "Hey, you're in Break Free Now. Yeah, you can have a beautiful time." And my experience in that moment, which I will share with Cam, was I was in a sea of thought, or maybe just one thought, and then as soon as I entered that, I allowed that to be my experience. And what happened was I was just in my head throughout that whole entire call, and I was thinking, like, fuck, what am I doing? Because I've got a group of people going through a program, and I haven't actually had a call with them. Our first call has been in like someone else's community and someone else's call, and they must be thinking, what the fuck's going on? Well, this is what I realized after the fact, But in the moment, I was just in this thought. And I had this self-judgment of like, oh, fuck. Some backstory as well. Like, I'm actually admin in Cam's group. And the call started, or I started the call by clicking, the video. I thought I was just clicking into the call, but it turns out I started it. So straight away, that's when I feel that I was in a thought of like, fuck, I'm not even running this call, but now I've started it and people are coming in, and now the thoughts are like, what are they going to be thinking? I had a microphone too, and I had a thought of like, are they thinking he's just like trying to be Cam as well with a microphone in Cam's call, and he's opened this call up? These are all the thoughts that I discovered after the fact that are hilarious, but in the moment I was in them. And when I'm in them, what happens for me, it's cool to express this actually. What happens for me when I'm in the thought is I start to go inside, I internalize everything, and I don't share anything, and I just suppress and I be quiet and I put the microphone down. So I have it and there it is down. And even like in moments when Cam does join and he starts expressing and there's moments of stillness or where I can jump in and I feel like to jump in, because I'm in that thought, I don't actually express myself. I suppress it. And so it's just a weird moment for me, and it's definitely felt through the others for sure. Because when you're in conversations with other people, they can actually feel how you are feeling, right? So if you're in a thought about, fuck, I wonder what they're thinking about me. Like, I've got a microphone. Are they thinking I'm weird? What are they thinking? They can feel that. That's actually communicating far beyond the words that you're expressing, even if I'm not expressing any words. So that went on all call, right? And I felt weird. And then afterwards, Luke from our group sent a message saying, yeah, it was a great call or whatever, but I'm looking forward to connecting with our group. Like, we should have a group call. And then straight away from that, I was like, yeah, actually, I generally realize things through, I guess, interactions with others. It comes to me because it becomes very obvious when, you're getting that message over and over. So I received that message from Luke, and I felt in that moment like, of course, this program, Break Free Now, must begin with the energy of this group. It must, there's something sacred that happens when that takes place. And even though that didn't take place, I realized that in that moment. And a funny thing happens when you realize it. Soon after as well, I got a call from my best mate, Matty Gamble, over in Sydney, and he said, do you really need Cam? As in, to hold that space for that group. And I already realized that before he said that. No. I don't need anyone outside of me to allow me to be me. I never did. However, there's always in the background, the mind brings up this feeling of security, of knowing that you don't have to do it. You can rely on others, and that can just give you that opportunity to sit back and, not take the steering wheel, the driver's seat. And I know that happened through my experience of being an awakening coach too, because we had Steve, he was the guy running the show. And then I was the one of 4 coaches who was, helping out in the background, facilitating our own calls, but always in the back of my mind knowing, oh yeah, this is the awakening call and this is Steve's thing, So that's always been, I guess, my experience. And I felt like I needed to go through that in order to realize again that I don't need that. Sometimes you just need to go through it to see it, to realize that you are it. And that's okay. That's life, And that's what I mean by I am breaking free through this program, through being me, and through allowing these experiences to unfold, because you could easily just not do anything. You could easily freeze yourself from actually taking action in this world, because you can just hide behind the screen. You could not put yourself in these uncomfortable situations. You could not grow. But that's not life. To me, anyways. That doesn't feel like life. Right, so that went down last Thursday. And what happened in the group so far has been very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. It's an energetic exchange going on that can only be expressed or experienced through a collective consciousness of beautiful beings wanting to better themselves, wanting to find their true authentic self. And as I freed myself from any need of, requiring anyone else, it's funny how the group finds their way and they start expressing themselves, and a beautiful happening takes place, for which I'm eternally grateful for to be a part of, really. And it's just beginning. And it's happening now. So that's a cool way to be. It's a cool way to start this. And this particular pod, I wanted to get into some questions that Catherine had. She's one of the beautiful souls that are in the group, Break Free Now. And she asked some really nice questions on a voice message. And in that moment, I felt like I should actually bring that up on a pod, because I don't know what I'm going to say, but I know that I will benefit from her questions. And that's the beauty in asking questions. you start to inquire about what's going on. What's going on with my voice? You start to really be more interested in what's happening inside. And yeah, that's when it shifts. Because you're no longer just in autopilot, drifting along aimlessly throughout this life experience, doing the doings that you've always done. You're now starting to acquire awareness in what is happening now. Why am I doing these things? Because I've always done them, but why have I always done them? Are these the things I want to do now? Are they in alignment with my values? What are my values? What's my purpose? Why am I here? Ask yourself that. But anyways, some beautiful questions came up and I just want to see where they go. So this is what Catherine said in her voice message. She said that she's feeling pushed and pulled about the right direction to go about certain things. So number one is knowing which way to go between asking for outside guidance and going within. So sometimes I'm reading things or I'm thinking to myself, which is the best way to go? Is it better to try and listen to yourself, feel your intuition more, and navigate that way? Or is it better to seek some outside guidance from people who are more knowledgeable or have more experience in certain areas? The answer is yes. It really, really depends on your experience. So I would say, for me, that intuition, is the guidance, is the way. But what is intuition? I would say that's your heart speaking. It's your higher consciousness coming through the vessel that is your human being. Right? You can call it God's voice. You can call it your gut feeling. You can call it your heart. It's the way. And, so often we don't listen to it because we know better. Oh, I know better. I know the way. My mind. And so I'm going to do it my way. But also there are people that can guide you. But I guess what I was saying before, with Cam, the reason why I was drawn to Cam was because there was a feeling that was coming through his words, his videos that I first found him on Instagram, the reels. That's the intuition. You can't put words to that. You can try. What we're doing right now is trying to put words to the one thing you cannot. The one thing beyond words, the energy that is. It's never really been a words thing for me, right? However, I do endeavor to find words to my experience. Because why not, I could really say anything. There are words taking place right now, but there's also something else happening. Something that you can't see. And similar to when I started this podcast, I burned some sage and then I could see the smoke. Right? Where was the smoke before I burned the sage? It didn't exist, but what actually exists far beyond what our eyes can perceive? Life. Vibrations, energies, frequencies. A lot. Because we can see like less than 1% of what's really going on, right? And so, is it better to seek some outside guidance from people who are more knowledgeable or have more experience in certain areas? I would say in certain moments, for me, that has been the case, but that has been because that I haven't allowed myself to listen to my intuition, whether that's because I've been too much in my head, too much of a limiting belief of life, and perhaps I've been suppressed too much in a way that I don't believe in myself. And so I've been looking for outside validation to validate, to relay that information to me, to bring it back and to really say, yes, you're on track, you're doing the right thing, keep going, or no, it's a bit like this. But who's saying that? Because that's just another person's perspective, and what is their intention behind saying that to you? Are they coming from a place of love, or are they actually manipulating? Because it can be that in some cases. The vulnerable can be manipulated. And that's an energy exchange, and that's something that you can attract if you're in a vulnerable state. So coming back to what is the right answer for you, well, only you know that, Only you know what is right for you. And it could come through information from another, or a podcast, or an audiobook, but that information being received isn't anything new. It's just more like a remembering of what you always knew. So for me, it's that, but a lot of the intuition coming through has been because I prioritize time by myself, time in stillness, time to sit with what is happening. And that's allowed the intuition to get louder. So actually funny, I'm thinking about this right now. You could say like it's a download, right? But I love saying that around my wife because she gets triggered if I say it's a download or something. She gets pissed off. It's pretty funny because it's like this. I'm receiving this message from God. I am almighty. I am superior. I am the one. I am spiritual. I am better than you. I'm on a hierarchy. I am the chosen one. I have received this download from God, but you are God. That's why it's funny. I'm receiving a message from myself. But I like it, because it's funny. It's just a word to me. I don't have a meaning to it. It just makes me laugh, download. Sometimes because I think about my wife and her reactions. You can call it whatever you want. It's just your truth, really. It's coming out naturally. And generally for me, it can happen in a moment and then the mind comes in straight after it. So intuition is instantaneous. It is always just now. And it can be like a whisper. And when the mind comes in of like, oh, you sure you want to do that? That doesn't really make sense. How are we going to do that? The how comes in. How can we make this happen? Because we know that we know the way, and we will define what is undefinable. We will force, push, and make it happen. But coming back to, you know the way. You do. You just got to get quiet. And find it however you find it, because I'm already seeing myself telling you what to do, but I don't need to do that. It's not my responsibility. But yeah, enjoy that one. That was a beautiful one. Question 2. In certain situations, is it better to ignore opinions, things I don't agree with, and just let people be? Or is it better to stand up for what I believe in? Which way should I go? Yes, that's right. The answer is yes again. And for me, I feel it comes down to your intention, which is something that my good friend, best friend, Matty Gamble, again, mentions to me a little bit in regards to the thoughts that occur after something happens that you go through coming back to your intention. Was your intention pure? Am I setting this direction because I generally have this beautiful intention of sharing, of giving, of wanting to be of service, And even if, here's the thing, if your why is like, I want to make money to help my family, then fucking go all in with that. That's what I'm realizing too. It's your truest truth. It's not the truth that you think other people want to hear of like, I want to be able to serve the world and humanity and feed the hungry. Is that really what you want to do? Or do you want to make some money? Just be honest. Be radically honest with yourself. That is honestly step one for life. For being your true authentic self, you have to be radically honest. We're not pushing some sort of version that we think people want to hear. People want this from us. I want to serve. Yeah, but do you? It's okay if you don't. Right now, what's your truth? So in certain situations, it's better to ignore opinions. Well, what do you want? Like, what do you want in this life? If you want to live with integrity, if you feel like in that moment it demands you standing up for what you believe in, then do that. But also realize that you don't have to change the world. You're not responsible for everyone else's awakening, for everyone else waking up to the life that exists in this moment. You're not responsible. That's a burden. That's an expectation that you put on yourself, that I have, that I've witnessed in others. You do you, you be you. So it really does depend on the situation, who you're talking about, especially, obviously, you're probably talking about ones that are closest to you, right? So if I'm thinking about my parents, my biggest awakening that I had with my parents was allowing my parents to be my parents and dropping the expectation that they should be this certain way, that I think that this is the right way to be my dad or my mum. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you being more like that? And that's where I enter the resistance of wanting someone to be a certain way. And then when they don't meet that expectation, that's when I feel the frustration. I feel the righteousness of, this is not how you're supposed to be my mum and dad. I feel the energy of that. But that was an awakening, of just really allowing them to be them and not having an expectation, not demanding more than what is this moment. Because how could you demand more than what is this moment? And who is the one that is demanding that, right? Someone that feels that they need validation, they need a certain version of a role model, of a mother or a father. But the truth is, now mums and dads are the best that they are with the awareness that they have. As hard as that might be to hear, for some, they're doing the best they can. And I know because I'm a dad and I'm doing the best that I can. And there are moments where you do get frustrated. There are moments where it gets hard, man. It's hard being a human being sometimes. That's a reality, We're not here to elevate ourselves to a level of consciousness so that we become the stars and the moon and the sky. We're here to be human. We really are. And when you free yourself of the expectation of another and you allow themselves to be themselves in the moment, you're freeing them too. Because they can feel that you're no longer judging them. You're no longer having this expectation, even if it is subconscious. That disappears, and what gets to be presented, what gets to take place is the fucking moment, man. It's now. Okay? And I'm hearing this for myself, so thank you, Catherine. Is it better to stand up for what I believe in? That truly does come down to you, and it comes down to your values, right? And, you could call it energetic boundaries. It comes back to, you don't have to heal the world. You don't have to heal everybody. But you have to make that decision internally, inside, of what you value, what are your strengths, what you want to surround yourself with, the people that support you. And if some people don't support you, they happen to be family members, it's not your obligation to cater for them because you're blood. Because some of the closest people to me came from me being myself. They honestly came to me. You know, Jimmy in Sweden, got Maddie over in Sydney, Liam in New Zealand, my wife, Germany. Should have said that one first. That was my thought. Everyone came to me really through me being myself, right? The real ones. And that's how it happens. It's literally how it happens. You are a magnet drawing in a magnetic connection. You know, people that are in alignment with you, people that are resonating with the frequency that you are, the resonance that you're putting out there. That vibration is being picked up. And it happens when you start being yourself and you be true to yourself. You get radical honesty and express your truth. The end. So which way should I go? The answer is yes. Yeah, find yourself first. And then you'll find the way. Number 3, question 3, the final one, wrapping up this moment. Knowing what to do between what I'd like to do in the moment, living how I'd like, and then doing the things that are more disciplined. Things I don't want to do that I think will probably benefit me. Finding that balance and knowing which one to pursue more. Yeah. It honestly does become very clear when you are clear with yourself, with what is your intention in this life. Where do you want to go? So I'm actually going to get into this next week as well, by the way, Catherine. Finding purpose, setting goals, all that stuff, because there is a balance. Right, when I got into the spiritual stuff, when I was an awakening coach, I found myself in a place where I was like, namaste. Everything will come to me. Everything is a reflection of my internal experience. My external is just a mirror. I am that I am. I am God. I am that I am, which is true, but also there's a really beautiful video, a reel that I seen. I can't remember who it was, but she was talking about catching the bus, right? And so she prays to God that she is going to catch the bus, but she also runs to catch the bus, right? So in an event that she didn't catch the bus, it wasn't meant to be. So there is a doing, but there's also having faith that you are exactly where you're meant to be. It's going to happen for you, but still do shit. The end. The balance, like what to do when you're clear with yourself, when you know yourself, when you have a direction, an intention, you know what to do. And again, it comes back to that intuitive knowing of asking yourself, like, what am I here for? What would I like to do? What are my values? What am I truly honest about? If it is about making money, you want to be financially secure, which I do. I want to be able to live in Germany with my family, That's real too. And be of service, because this is fucking... When you find... It's that ikigai thing, isn't it, Ikigai. Like when you find what you're good at, when you find what the world needs, when you find your purpose, you find that it's no longer work. The definition of work, whatever that is, in my mind is always like doing something, and getting money. But it's never been what I've been experiencing lately, the last few years, what I've found. This is not work. This is like living in fulfillment, like living in truth. And it actually rejuvenates me. Like it feeds my energy through experiencing conversations with others, through coaching. You can call it that, coaching, and podcasting, and just having conversations, group conversations, one-on-ones, whatever. It makes me feel alive. It brings an aliveness to the moment. It's a connection. It's connecting with the other and finding yourself, seeing yourself in the other. I guess it just brings you back to life in a way that, I'm just trying to work it out now in my mind, in a way that frees you from any illusion that you think you are, like any emotion that you've attached yourself to through a past event. Just expressing, through communicating, through coming back to community, allows you to see yourself and gives you that feeling of, I'm not alone, because you're not alone. You're really not. So knowing what to do between living how you'd like to live, being more disciplined, well, what I do is, a lot of people would say it's very disciplined. I get up at 3:30 in the morning. And I have a breath work. I go into the kitchen. I'm making a coffee for myself, for my wife when she wakes up later. I'm making a juice for myself, for Janina when she wakes up later. I'm coming into the office here and I'm lighting a candle. I'm sitting, in the stillness of the morning where everyone is asleep, where the stars are out. Open up these blinds here. Have a look at my favorite tree outside. But it's not discipline for me. You could say, oh, you're very disciplined waking at 3:30 in the morning, but I love it. I can't imagine not having that space in the morning to slowly wake up. And I say it's sacred because it is, but life is sacred. Every moment is. It's just that in the morning when everyone's asleep, it's very easy to slip into that stillness and sacredness, and then as the day progresses, you become a human doing and you can lose sight of the sacredness, but to bring yourself back, you can always breathe. You can always take a moment to take a breath and bring yourself back to now. Because now's never not here. It's only you in your head being the doing man, which is important too, It's all important. It's all sacred. But I love those questions, Catherine, so thank you very much for being you. Thank you for showing up and wanting to go on this self-journey, self-discovery, of asking the questions. Never be afraid to ask questions. I remember I used to be. Now I love it. I no longer care, if I look stupid, because what is stupid? I would say stupid would be getting to the end of your life and looking back and realizing you never lived. I would say that would be stupid. Not asking questions in the moment, and awakening to yourself, to the power that is within you that always resides here and now, that you can tap into if you want to go inside yourself. It's always here. You just really have to ask the questions. That's us. Thank you for listening. Honestly, thank you for being you. And the world needs more of you. Be radically honest with yourself. Be whatever you want to be. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. No, I prefer it if you go the other way because they're the ones I vibe with, the real ones. Much love now.